Okay. I may have overreacted slightly. um, so two early on things that I remember that just like clearly have stuck out in my mind about Naomi. One was the entire day that we spent together in Central Park. Like our first date 4 years ago was like incredible. That was so much fun. So much fun. But okay, I guess I got to share a little bit. So basically, what ended up happening is that we were on a spring ministry trip to New York, and we had a free day. And basically, on the free day, one of the staff members would go and protest at an abortion clinic, do the silent protest with a life tape, and asked if any of us wanted to come. Naomi and I were the only ones that said yes. And so what that turned into was a whole day where me and her were driven around New York by a guy that lived around there, taken to I think we had Thai food for lunch. We walked around Central Park, and like for the whole day, I got to row her across the lake in there. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was actually wild. And so we had our first date 4 years ago, essentially, or maybe a little bit longer now. But two things that really just marked me. I remember as far as first meeting goes, I remember prophesying over her at her 18th birthday party. And I remember in New York, I remember when we were at the end of that free day, we were just walking through, I think it was right around Times Square. And a guy came up, and it turned into a ministry moment. Like the Lord really just opened a door for us to talk with him. And I just remember Naomi going off to the side for a little bit, and I remember being a little, I was like, oh, like, hey, like, is she doing something? I just remember noticing it. I don't know if I had any other thoughts, but she came back and with tears was like basically gave him her Bible and was like, and I'll never forget, because just she would say over and over again, she's like, if I'm giving this to you, you have to promise me that you're gonna read it. Like, you have no idea how important this is to me, you know? And at that point, it had been a while since I had seen somebody do something that I didn't have an immediate yes in my heart to. You know, like, I was like, man, like, Lord, if you asked me to give away my Bible, like the history that we've shared there and all these different things, you know, would I say yes? And I didn't. I was like, all right, Lord, like, help me, like if I wouldn't say yes, help me say yes. But like, I didn't have the immediate like, oh man, you know. And that really solidified her in my, not only did I feel like it felt like being a spectator in a holy moment, you know, like somebody offering something to him that was costly, you know. And that touched my heart. I've told people that story countless times over the past several years since it happened. Yeah. And then I think a second like kind of memory that isn't necessarily when we first met, but it kind of goes into the second question, which is tell about how this moved to more than friends. When did you know you liked her, wanted to date her, what attracted you to her, who made the first move, what happened? But a second time it was a couple of years ago. We were on a trip to St. Louis, and we were on a trip. It was just a day trip with all four of us. It was Naomi, her boyfriend at the time, her ex-boyfriend now, and just a mutual friend of ours. And on our way back from St. Louis, it's like a 4-hour drive, 3.5, I think. Her boyfriend and our mutual friend wanted to catch up. They hadn't seen each other in a while, and so they sat in the back seat and they were talking. And they ended up just falling asleep at some point during the drive, pretty early on in the drive. And Naomi and I are in the front, and we just spend the rest of the drive listening to worship and sermons and talking about the Lord and just like praying and feeling the presence of the Lord. And just, I remember sitting there and just being like, and being as respectful as I could, because she was in a relationship. I was just like, man, like, Lord, like, I want a relationship like this where I can spend hours talking about who you are and having my heart be moved by just the way that somebody else expresses him. Just, you know, like when you're bouncing off of each other about how you love him or what he's done for you. And it just was one of the sweetest moments that like set in, at that point in my heart, it set a vision for what I would want in a relationship, even just in the normal day-to-day moments. And so we spent like the next 2.5-ish, 3 hours just like rocking in the front seat, just crying about the Lord. Yeah, I wouldn't have put it into words. Like, Naomi had better language for it that I would probably steal. But yeah, I I when I was in Kansas or in Reading, I would constantly tell people, like, I was like, man, like, I don't want to just be with somebody that has given him just their yes. Like, I know countless people that have given Jesus their yes. Like, I want to be with somebody that has, like, truly, like, set aside everything and forsaken all for Christ, you know? Like, and I was like, and I would say there's like a ton of beautiful girls in Kansas City that have like loved him profoundly and rarely. And I, like, I kid you not, every time I would say that sentence, I was thinking of Naomi. You know, like maybe like one or two other people, in the sense of like, oh, like they're great, but like it was always primarily Naomi, you know? And I genuinely, it's wild that that we're getting married. Like, I'm a, yeah.